Words matter. Actions matter. Your beliefs matter. What are you saying? What are you doing? What are you believing in? How did you get to that? Where does it come from? What are you saying on a regular basis that, when you really think about it, doesn't make all that much sense? We can get so caught up in routine and just saying what other people are saying and not really thinking about what it truly means. A few weeks ago, it came to my attention. I was listening, and there's so many people talking about navigating. And when I hear the word navigating, I hear, okay, we need to reverse course. We need to maneuver. We need to detour. I see red flags, red lights, caution signs. I see roadblocks. I see potholes. That's what I hear when I hear navigate, is how do I get there the best way I know how? How do I avoid the pitfalls? How do I avoid obstacles? This is what I hear when I hear the word navigate. What doesn't make sense to me is, why do we have to navigate after we arrive? Okay, I understand navigating to get somewhere, but why is it we have to navigate after we get somewhere? It doesn't make sense to me. And that's what I want to speak about today. Navigating corporate America. Why we should not have to. Are you with me? Hello, everyone. Welcome to the KimUnity Soulutions Podcast. I am your host, Kim the SME. As always, I am only speaking from my experiences. This is the only podcast that transforms workplace challenges into real-world solutions. It is so good to be with you all today. I thank you for tuning in. To all of my new listeners, hello, I appreciate you. I hope that I add some value. I hope that you are able to take away something as well as share your experiences or your knowledge. This is a community to where we all grow and learn from each other, regardless of race, religion, income, gender, what else is there? Political affiliation, demographics, all of that good stuff. We all have something to learn from each other. Let's get into it. Yes, I said it. I will say it again. I will say it again. We should not have to navigate corporate America. Once we arrive, we should be able to create. We should be able to complete our task. We should be able to grow and innovate and all of that good stuff. We should not have to navigate going into work. Just the thought of navigating traffic or maybe your stairs, whatever it is you have to navigate these days to get to work, and then navigating once you get there. How do you navigate work? Have you thought about it? Or does this not apply? You see, there's different types of employees. There's some employees who are just there for the check. So they're just trying to make it. So they will accept and tolerate anything. They are there for the check. They want to come in and work their 8 hours and go home. And I understand that. I've actually experienced that. That used to be me when I first started. I thought all through growing up, all through childhood, you tell me if you can relate to this, is that you thought that you could go in, do an amazing job at work, succeed, meet and beat the deadlines, and then go home to your normal day of life. But that's not the case. There's so much that they don't tell us. This is why we end up navigating corporate. navigating the workplace. No, it's not okay. They don't think it's okay for you to come in and do your job well and go home. No, you need to socialize. You need to participate in the discussions. You need to smile. They want you to become who they want you to be. If you're an introvert and you work better by yourself, you're not that interactive during the day, you only give your highs and buys, that's really not what they're looking for. They want you to transform. But I am saying that instead of navigating these offices and these spaces, we need to transform it. And I'm speaking to leadership as well as the employees, the teams, because leaders, you are also employees, just in case you didn't realize that. But yes, I'm speaking to everyone. We all want something, and most of the time we're not getting it. Leaders need something from the employees, and the employees need something from the leaders. Now, I will notate this. Let me make this clear, very clear, because this was me. Yes, you can be a team member and still be a leader. Yes, you are a leader. You can lead where you are at. You don't have to have a title. And if you've listened to previous episodes of mine, you would know that I'm really not about the titles. I'm definitely not about the titles. The titles do not determine your level of respect. It determines your responsibilities and your level of pay. Okay, so that's how I see it. And I believe anybody should have the right and deserves the right to respect until that is diminished, until that is affected somehow. So I just wanted to make that part clear right there. So let me give you the definition of navigation. Okay, so the Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines navigation as to travel by water, to steer a course, or to make one's way over or through and then they say traverse. Okay, now Oxford, as I'm reading my notes, Oxford says that it is travel on a desired course after planning a route. I say route, some people say route, depends on what part of the country you're from. Okay, it also says, and this is the one that I want you to pay attention to, it says to sail or travel over, especially carefully or with difficulty. And that's what I hear. That's the definition. That's what I hear when I hear that word. Is you have to be careful that you're navigating, you're moving through, you're maneuvering through difficult terrain, difficult landscapes. Can you relate to this? I hope if you can relate to this, you click the follow button, you click the like button, you leave a comment once I upload it to YouTube. We shouldn't have to navigate. We shouldn't have to navigate. The workplace should not be a maze that we have to figure out, okay? And I'm going to give you a few examples of what it means and what are the examples of having to navigate corporate or your workplace, okay? So when I say navigating, I'm saying when you're in the office or your workplace, I don't know your type of environment, but just think about it and apply it to your situation. There's certain things you have to avoid. There's certain things that are considered unacceptable. And I'm not talking about anything against company policy, but certain things are unacceptable. For example, you are always supposed to go up the chain of command. There is a hierarchy, and in the workplace, they truly believe that hierarchy, the higher you go, the more respect you get. This isn't every workplace. I understand this is not every workplace. This is not everyone's experience. This has been mine on few occasions, and don't get me wrong. I have had plenty of great work experiences, great corporations and organizations that I have worked for, wonderful managers that were advocates and teachers and brought out the best of me, you know, and accepted my leadership skills. Okay. But that's not always the case. Some managers or leaders are intimidated by your intelligence. Instead of accepting it and allowing you to help grow the team or even share knowledge with them, they get offended and they do their best to minimize you and your efforts. Okay. And sometimes your elevation. This is what I'm talking about when I'm speaking about navigating. Because what happens when you experience that? Now you know, okay, I can't go to this manager with this. Okay, well, maybe I shouldn't say anything at all. And then what happens to the company, the team, the department? The communication falls apart. The productivity slows down. Income is impacted negatively. Okay, the team morale. So navigating is expensive. And I want everyone to realize this again, whether you're a leader or an employee, a team member, navigating is expensive. Because if you're not open to communication, if you're not open to honesty, constructive feedback, you're losing those ideas, you're losing that innovation, you're losing time. Okay? And once that employee gets frustrated enough, they're going to leave. And so what happens? You have to go through that entire hiring process again. Let me tell you this. Matter of fact, I was at a networking event yesterday, and I was explaining to this gentleman what I do and how I, empower employees and enhance leadership skills and work to improve communication and collaboration and overall company culture. And his response was that, oh, well, I just let him go. I just get rid of him. That's very expensive, especially if it's a miscommunication issue, something that could be, changed with just a little bit of tweak or a little bit of clarity. But if you have to bring somebody in and then train them, and then, then when they do something that you don't like, you let them go, you are costing yourself so much money, or the company or your department budget so much money, when really it's just a tweak of something that, oh, okay, when I say this, you're understanding it as this. Actually, this is what I mean. So it's about having that open line of communication. We all come from different lived and unlived experiences. So when I say something, you may interpret it differently because of your background and where you come from. So we have to take this into consideration. Letting go of people is not always, you could be letting go of the most valuable asset that you have. And I know it depends on the circumstances and what exactly you're getting rid of them from. Don't get me. I'm not the one. I don't play those games. If I see a rotten apple, we need to handle that before the infection and the bacteria spreads throughout the department. I understand that. But what if you're having the same complaint or experience over and over again? What is that saying about you as a leader? And I'm speaking to the leaders right now. What does that say to you? That tells me that, okay, there's either something that's unclear, there's policies, or the procedures are unclear. So we're having mixed messages, right? Or how you're communicating, or the lack thereof. Again, making small adjustments, there's no cost to that. And then guess what? You're also gaining trust. You're gaining that because you're seeing an opportunity that you can correct and help them grow and gain understanding. And that is seen throughout the team, whether you know it or not. This is what I'm talking about navigating corporate. Also, like I was saying before, the chain of command. If you have an issue with your manager, what do? I'm speaking to the team now. What do? Do you sit there and not say anything? That is the approach that many people do. They just deal with it while they're at work, updating their resume, applying for jobs, which means that they are, decreasing productivity. They're going to be missing some days. They're planning some interview days because they can't come speak to you. And they know that the next person above you, you're buddy with. Now, someone like me, if I have tried my best to resolve it directly with my leader, with my manager, because not all managers are leaders, let's understand that. And I know the next person in line is buddy, I will go to the next person. That's just me. I'm not saying everybody does it or should do it. I'm saying, and again, I'm Kim the SME. I'm speaking from my experiences, especially when I know this person is all the way wrong. Okay? Or I need feedback. I need an unbiased. That's what we're going for. We're looking for someone who is unbiased to help resolve a situation. So going to someone who's already biased, that is escalating. That is escalating the situation. And that's not what anyone wants. So here we go. We're navigating again. Okay, what should I do? Do I sit here and not say anything, look for another job, or just sit here and give the least and clock out as soon as it says 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5:01? Not share the ideas that I came up with, or the process improvements that have crossed my mind that I know will benefit this department and another department. We're losing out on, and I'm speaking about the organizations now, you're losing out on great assets to your company, to your organization. And what happens? They end up going and working for your competitor. Or they become entrepreneurs and start applying what they have learned from you and doing it for themselves. And so now you're missing that income. You're missing that innovation. You're missing that income being generated, that possible income generation. Okay? These are all things that we all have to think about. This is what I'm talking about when I'm speaking about navigating corporate America. We're all impacted. I'm not just speaking from the staff level experience or perspective. I'm also speaking about leadership, because what do? I help bridge the gap between the two. That's my gift. I'm a bridge builder, because I can see from all perspectives. I can resolve this perspective and this perspective. I can see it. I can see the commonality. And that's what this podcast is all about. KimUnity Solutions. Again, I'm so happy that you all have joined with me today. What's another way that we have to navigate corporate? And we don't realize we have to navigate until we have seen the roadblock. Okay? So for the employees, they are coming in there, they are being productive, they are, overachieving, they are doing the work, they're coming up with solutions. They get their work done early. They have met and exceeded the deadline. Okay. And then what's their reward? They get their slacker's workload. The one who is the poor performer is basically rewarded for being poor, for being a poor performer. And so what happens? Leaders really believe that they are solving a problem because they're still getting the work done. And I will say, not all leaders have an intentional negative mindset. It's not intentional. They're trying to get the work done. Many managers are analytical. They're only thinking about the numbers. They're thinking about productivity. They're thinking about KPIs, the key performance indexes. They're not really thinking about how you feel or what has happened or what your concern is. And it's not their fault. It just hasn't been brought to their attention. They're focused on meeting the deadlines. They're focused on making sure that their goals are met for their bonus. They're making sure that their goals are met for what was set upon them. Okay, so it's not always intentionally, not thought about. They're just focused on something totally different than you. And again, if you are afraid to approach, if you believe that's going to impact them, or maybe they have a huge ego, or they're unapproachable, you've seen how they work with other people, then you're not going to approach that. So leaders, is very important. You need to be mindful. You need to be self-aware how you are treating other people, because guess what? Your team sees it, and your team envisions it, and they apply it to themselves. Oh, they treated them like that? Okay, well, mental note, I won't do that. I won't go and knock on their door then. I won't ask them this. I won't ask for a sick day. I'm just going to say I can't come in on the day of. You're setting these standards. And now everyone is navigating around that. And now you're upset because your team is not giving you advance notice. This is because you have proven yourself. So now they are navigating, trying to avoid these unnecessary obstacles. This is all I want you to understand. They're just trying to avoid it. Everyone is trying to get to the same destination. But for some reason, we're going out there with all these bricks and we're putting roadblocks, cautions, red flags. We are destroying the interstate, the communication interstate. We are disrupting the flow of progress and communication and innovation. So again, no, we should not be navigating corporate. We need to be transforming it. We need to be transforming it. And we can all play a role in that. It doesn't always have to come from the very, very top. The very, very top is not in the workplace. They're on the golf course. It's up to the people that are in there to make their space positive, their space productive. And that's you. That is you. I mentioned it before that navigating is expensive. It is also expensive on your health. It's very costly. It's very costly, not only in finances. Not only are you losing profits or income generation because of loss of productivity, but your patience, your health. Now you're driving to work, unhappy. Now you are bringing that energy home to your family. Or if you're at home, now that energy is not even leaving because you're working in the same place that you live. Not healthy. Not healthy. Navigating is expensive. And it's up to both sides, the employees and the leaders, to be open to constructive criticism, to have open lines of communication. You have to work together. That's how you go farther, is by working together. This is applying to those that are trying to grow within the organization. Because like I said at the beginning of this conversation, some people are just there for the check. So they're going to take how you handle them, how you speak to them. They're just there for the check. They want to come in, go out. And of course, we know that is not how you get promoted. That is not how you get seen. That is how you get a check until somebody replaces you. Okay? But I'm speaking to the ones who, come to these companies and organizations and they're looking for growth. They want to excel. They are coming to your establishment trying to do the best that they can with what they have. They're even coming in without procedures. They're creating procedures. They're improving processes that not just benefit them, but that it benefits the department and other departments. That was me. I'm speaking from my experiences. Can you believe, and you can listen to this in another past episode, was I was penalized for following the standard operating procedures. I'm trying to think, is that the right one? No, not the standard, the company policies. The company policies, they gave you, it was like a spreadsheet, and it told you exactly, if you were doing this, you were considered below expectations, meeting expectations, above, excelled, executive, leader. It was just going on. And it said, if you do this, then you're considered this. And one of them said, if you're able to resolve challenges without the assistance of management, then you're this. And I was penalized. And it wasn't something that I just did on my own. I went to the other department because I had an idea. I said, hey, I heard you saying that you had an issue with this. Well, guess what? I'm the one that does that. And if I can move this part and put this description here, that way when the customers get the check or the vendors get the check, then they'll be able to see what it's for in the memo. They were having a problem with, and if you're in the accounting background, you understand, they were having a problem that was impacting every single department. The call center was getting bombarded by inquiries about checks being received, and the department that was cutting the checks didn't know how to change it, and then it was affecting this other department, and I'm the one who puts this in this field, right? But I can put it somewhere else. And I said, oh, I had no idea this shows up there because I'm not in that department. You see, we get so, we have our blinders on of what we do and how it impacts us. No, we need to broaden it and see, okay, how is it what I do impact other teams? So once I learned of that, I said, oh, okay, well, I can still use this and put this here, and that will positively impact everybody. The call center won't be getting as many calls, not payroll, but the accounts payable department will be able to see what that check is for on the memo line. It impacted 4 different departments and our customers. You would think that would be a great thing. And I am following the company policies. and I am excelling and exceeding the expectations. But no, I was docked on my performance evaluation for not including her. I said, but this says not to include you. I did include some management. I did come back and tell you what I had thought of. And I had to, before my goal was to make sure before I even presented it to management that it actually worked. It was just an idea. Why present an idea that hasn't been all the way thought out? Now, when you get a Capricorn, we are detail oriented, okay? We will get to the bottom of it. So what I did was I had a thought and I said, oh, I heard this manager talking about this. Let me see if this is what she was actually talking about. Because these departments, they're staying late. Their employees are staying later. They're getting bombarded. Now they're unable to focus on the task at hand because now they have to accommodate, customer service issues. So then I go to the other department. They're like, oh, yes, that would be helpful. Oh, yes. Then it's like, okay, well, let me write it up. Let me give it to and then I get docked for it. And so here I am now speaking about how we can all work together, how we can all be the solution, how we can have solutions that are mutually beneficial. You see how it all goes together? How leaders and employees can build the bridge and increase communication, collaboration, and company culture. Because guess what? After that, how am I feeling? How was your employee feeling after that type of, result? That was totally unexpected. That the other departments were like, are you serious? So now that is creating question marks in everyone else's head about how you manage, how you lead or don't lead. I hope you all are understanding this. I hope that this gives some leaders, a different perspective of looking at things. And I want you to realize that your team and you can go so much further if you work together, if you understood, if you cared, if you were open, if you put your ego to the side, if you empathized. How would you want to be treated? Are you looking from their perspective? There's mindfulness there. It's important to be mindful. It's important to be mindful, y'all. Another way that we have to navigate corporate is that seeing leaders or managers try to hold everyone else accountable to whether it's the mission or the values or, the goals, the vision, and they're not holding themselves accountable. How can you earn anyone's trust or respect with that? And so when you do that, they have to apply that to everything else you say, everything else you do. In the back of their mind, there's something there that says, okay, really, okay, got it. And you can't have this ego of, because I said so. That's not how it works anymore. That's not how it works. If you're on Zoom, let's not put exclamation points when you are communicating with your staff. They know, they understand, unless it's a hooray or something like that. But if it's an instruction, if it's direction, let's not do that. Let's not do that. I've only been speaking about navigating in the corporate environment in the workplace, but we also have to be mindful of how we communicate and exchange information and pleasantries and lack thereof through our email, through Zoom, through all of these chats. You can listen to other podcasts, other speakers about, navigating corporate. Do this, 5 ways to not do this, 10 ways to do no, there is no navigating. I'm about transforming. Let's correct it. Let's not move around it and try to fancy it up and pretend like all of that is not there. No, I see that pothole. Who's going to fix it? I'm about to call the city. Who's going to fill this pothole? We have to fill in the pothole, not continue to drive around it, not continue to keep getting shocks and what did I just pay for? Shocks and struts. Okay? It's time to transform. It is time to transform. And again, it doesn't have to come from the top. It can start with you. Be the solution. Be the solution. Leaders, if you have already diminished your trust, and I'm not saying that it was intentional, be open about it. If you have already messed up the communication flow, be honest about it. Ask questions. What could I have done better this week? Without retaliation. What could you have done better? Put some boxes, some suggestion boxes in the office. Have me come out. I will have some open dialogue conversations. I will empower your team. I will, provide leadership some emotional intelligence training. You're about to go into a new month, a new year, a new week. Let's not keep repeating the same thing over and over again. Let's not do that. What are you navigating? Comment below what you are navigating, what you would like resolved, whether you're a leader and a team member, a leader within the team, the business owner. What could you do better? What would you want your team to tell you? Would you be open to listen to it? Are you open to constructive criticism or feedback? How have you accepted it in the past? How did you respond? How did you respond? It's okay to ask, and you're going to have to regain their trust. You're going to have to apologize. You're going to have to explain. And what people don't understand is that we are all people. We are all going through something. We're all going through something. I just met someone who is going through the same experiences that I was going through outside of work. And so it takes a toll on you. And even though you don't want it to, you're carrying it around because what? It drains your energy. It's encompassing your mind. It's taking a piece of it and it's blocking something else. And so we have to be more open and more mindful to allow space for people to mess up, for people to, not respond appropriately all the time. We have to extend grace. Like, ooh, especially if someone is acting out of character. I automatically think, ooh, they must be going through something, because that's not like them. Instead of just getting upset, hold space, extend empathy. Come back and say, are you okay? I can tell that you're, if there's anything you need, let me know. I'll just talk to you tomorrow. I hope you feel better. If there's anything I could do, please let me know. What are you doing? How are you responding? Are you enlarging the issue? Are you provoking it? These are all things you have to think about. Leaders, you got to stop micromanaging. You got to stop micromanaging. And I understand, because some managers are saying, well, I have to make sure they do it right because they don't care. Okay, well, why don't they care? What did you do before? Who do you have? Because not every member should be, in that role or hold that responsibility that they have. Would they be better in a different position? Have you asked them why they weren't productive? Have you asked them why they keep missing, repetitively missing something or leaving out something? You've got to communicate, because what happens is you don't say anything, or you get tired of saying the same thing, and now you're micromanaging, and now you're adding on to what you've already done that you have no idea you did. Or maybe you're coming in, and this has happened to me as well, maybe you're coming into a new environment, and I'm speaking to either the leader or the employee, the team member. You're coming into a new job, a new environment, and one simple thing, you tell me if you could relate to this. One simple thing, and it reminds you of what happened at the last workplace. So now you're responding the same way you did back then, because you're thinking that is this, when really this is not that. This is not that. There's another episode that I did that is called This Is Not That. Make sure that you are responding to what's at hand and not what was behind. Because sometimes we're carrying this baggage and these experiences, and then when we feel something, or when we experience something that feels something just like it, we lose it. We apply that same action or principle that we did back then. But no, this isn't that. And so now you're creating what you left. You're treating new people how you treat the old people. And now they're going to be responding like the old people, because they are not them, but you're turning them into that. Can I get an amen, somebody? I could go on and on. I just want you to be aware. I just want you to be aware how your actions impact everyone else around you. I want us to be able to get to work and be productive and be creative and be innovative and give our best and see growth on both sides. On both sides. We can all win. We can all win, but we all have to change our mindsets and our approach. My quote for the day: the workplace shouldn't be a maze to conquer, It should be a space to create. It should be a space to create. And to all the employees who have stayed on, and even leaders who are just giving the bare minimum, expect more of yourself. Do more for you. Because what happens is you're limiting your experience. You may, yes, just want to work your 8 hours and go, but now you're limiting your education and your knowledge. You could have learned so much more in the time that you've been there that you can take and apply somewhere else if that's what you choose to do. And guess what? If you are deciding to do your own thing, you are creating it to where you're going to hire an employee just like you. That's that karma, baby. That's that karma. Don't do what you don't want have done to yourself. So what you are giving may be exactly what you receive when you're on the other side of that. Give it your all so you can get all that is owed to you. That's all I have for you all today. I am so glad we had this conversation. I am looking forward to seeing your comments and your likes and increased views. Please follow so you can hear more of this. If you enjoyed this episode, please listen to the other ones. There's something for all of us to learn from, and we can start today. I am your host, Kim the SME. As always, I am only speaking from my experiences. You all have a blessed and wonderful week.